Welcome to another high value conversation. This morning, I have my friend, professional musician, doing big things, Vandell Andrew. I'm gonna go ahead and invite him in. Get started. Thank you. Have your questions ready. You can ask anything. Vandell, how you doing, my
I'm
brother?
good, man. How you, man?
Man, good morning. Thank you for taking time to be here.
Man, thanks for having me.
Man, it's a
Good
pleasure to
morning.
have high value conversation, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So what I love to do is we're going to get into your introduction and all that stuff like that. But for people who can't be here long or people who just get tuned in, I like to just start right off with a great high value question. Okay.
Okay.
And then a little more about you as we go along. So tell me, what is the key to turning music into your income?
For me, it was finding like-minded people. That's people who, were able to support my music through helping me play it. They could be musicians. They could be somebody who owns a venue. They could be somebody who's having a wedding. It could be anyone who needs my services, basically. My job was to find like-minded people, and that's how I was able to make income from the music.
Wow. So tell me more about that process though. So you found like-minded people, and then what did you do? Like, did you ask them, tell them what you're trying to like? Cause we're talking about kind of like the early days, right? Like when you were just
Right.
saying I do this, but I don't. People aren't just gonna come tell me, hey, come play, right? I have to make. How do you like market and kind of book yourself?
One of the things I did early on was I would find coffee shops that had like a cool vibe that I wouldn't mind playing at, and I would approach them with this offer where I would play for free. This is way in the beginning. I would play for free, and what I had was CDs. So I would play for free as long as they would let me sell my CDs and make some tips.
Yes,
And
sir.
so through doing that, I was able to sell CDs and make tips. But not only that, I was also booking private parties through those, from people who would just come out and say, hey, I'm having a birthday party next month, and it would just be amazing if you would come and play for me and my guests. So I was able to branch out from that and build a clientele from just being out in the public.
Man, that's some initiative right there. So I like how you put that. Like you went and you started out like basically like you said for free, but you was on your hustle. You were like, I'm gonna go to these coffee shops. I'm gonna approach the owner. Like I'm gonna take that initiative to put my service out there, and then I'm also gonna. Man, it's just amazing to hear that. That's you say you found like-minded people, but then you also put the rubber to the road and was like, I'm gonna make this happen. So let me ask you this: what made you believe that you can get paid to play saxophone?
Once I got paid one time, man. When I was I think I was about 15, I played at church. They asked me to play at church. And I was like, cool, I didn't think anything of it. And I remember right after that church service, somebody walking up to me and handing me $60. And I was like, wow, I could get paid for doing this, and I can get paid for making people feel better. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yes,
a
sir.
win-win. So
Nice. I love that. I love that. I think that's what a lot of artists want to do. That's what I really hope that this high value conversation does today, is that for people who, are artists who want to be able to turn their art into income, like they want to enjoy doing what they want to do. They want to have their love and their passion, but sometimes the economy forces them to have a job that they don't want to have. And they wish that they could be more self-expressive and do what they really want to do. I hope they can pluck the gems of how you were able to accomplish this. So let me ask you this. How did you get like here? I know we saw how you started making money from it. I see how you had to believe it. But when did you, pick up a saxophone? When did that become your instrument of choice? Out of all the other instruments and creative things you could have done, how did you end up on and falling in love with being able to be a saxophone?
So I don't even know if you know this story, but saxophone was not my first instrument. I picked trumpet as my first instrument
Wow.
at summer camp. Like my eighth grade, seventh going into eighth grade year. So it was before I got to high school.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't go that well. So so the next summer, my teacher and my mom, who loves the saxophone, just sat me down, and my teacher plays saxophone as well. So they both sat me down, and they said that they felt that would be a better instrument for me. And I always thought it was cool anyway. So I just decided to give it a try and fell in love with it.
Man. So a lot of people might not know, but we have in common that we played saxophone
Right.
together in high school, the
Yeah.
band. I think I was a senior when you were a 10th grader.
Yep.
Yeah, man, I was section leader. Man, man, you always had that though. You always was, I mean, locked in. Like I always never had to question if you knew your music. You know what I mean? I didn't.
Wow.
I never wondered if you knew your music. And then people also like to share. We both were drum
Right.
majors at for the March 100, and I just remember even helping you when you were becoming a drum major and talking to you and mentoring you, that you just had that essence, man. You know, and I remember connecting with you once you graduated and you were in your early days. I came and listened to you play in some of those coffee shops, you
Yeah.
know, and I was just always so proud of you. So to see you continuously going and still rising, I had to have you on for a high value conversation, man, to really talk about this because I've watched your journey and I love it. And I know that there's these good, deep insights that will help people also be able to learn
Mm-hmm.
from your process. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Most definitely.
how did you make so many of these like amazing collaborations? I know you said like-minded people, but how did you, you know, make the collaborations that you made? And tell us about some of the collaborations that you have going on right now.
Um, yeah, that's one of the things I've been blessed with throughout my career is, like I said, I always want to find like-minded people. Those people often come to me. And I think that is because, you put the energy out there, for me, a lot of times it's social media, and it's as simple as me playing, saxophone on top of a hip hop track that shows a hip hop artist that I'm interested in doing that. And
Mm.
they come at me all the time. And other times, you meet people through people. I may be playing at a show, and after the show, someone introduces me to their artist friend, and that turns into a collaboration. But most of all, it's just being open.
Yeah.
It's being open and ready for the opportunity, when it actually comes to collaborate. And I'm always ready. And, people love the fact that I'm always ready. And, you know, they get there, when there's a thing when musicians are sending each other files back and forth through email and stuff like that. Sometimes people can kind of take long. And I usually don't take too long. So that helps as well. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
having a quick turnaround.
Well, see, you almost kind of answered my next question, which was, what's the key to the great networking? Because you can be introduced to somebody, but then what do you do with it to make the connection actually happen? What do you do, in this day and age where something's like, I want it for me, or I'm trying to get the clout of you on mine? Like, how do you find a balance in the collaboration, a balance in the work together? How do you network with other musicians to come together on projects? Like, what is the key? I know you said first good follow up and being ready, but help others learn how they can be more effective. And I think some people are kind of fearful,
Mhm.
with their relationships and stuff. So go ahead.
I say, with collaborations and networking in general, it's always about providing value. If you're going to ask somebody for something, I think you should have something to bring to make them feel a little bit better about helping you. Just because, unfortunately, everybody needs something. Everybody needs something. So, it just kind of helps when you bring something to the table and, you're asking for something at the same time. That person may not be as they might not even have to think about it. It's just like, yeah, of course. And I'll give an example. One of the collaborations, we're actually dropping an album this Friday. One of the collaborations I'm doing is with Raheem Devon and a production group called The Colleagues. And we all have different things that we bring to the table. They somehow, I do artwork now. I'm not a graphic designer, but within the group, within this group, I've been doing the artwork,
Wow.
and KP of The Colleagues, he may be the guy who sends all of us the verbiage for like the social media promotions and stuff like that, or Raheem may be the guy that comes up with like the creative TikTok, social media type videos, for us to post to promote the album.
Yeah.
So
Man, like you said, bringing something to the table. I think not just asking, but having an offer with your ass. Like, I think you make a great point about being able to have that mutual value, that win-win. So it's not so much asking for a favor more than it's let's work together, let's combine forces to make something that I can't make alone and you can't make alone.
Yeah, yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? And I think we kind of get that, back in those St. Aug days, you collaborate with 100 guys to make a field show, to make a song, and then as drum majors and leaders of that, being able to bring those people together and complete a task together or a performance together is kind of like, it's in your blood and been there for a long time.
Most definitely.
So how does it feel when your music gets awarded and recognized? So I know you're a humble guy. I know you don't like to be too braggy, but I want you to kind of share with people some of the, things that you've been recognized for. And then I want to know how does it feel, knowing where you started in the coffee shops to being recognized in that way.
Yeah, so I mean, since the coffee shops, man, one of the things I realized, during the whole coffee shop grind is I had to invest in my brand. And that was because I wanted to be able to, money is not what it's all about, but money helps, and that's what keeps the whole thing going. So, what I thought was I have to be able to make money without being there, because I have to be at a show to play the show. So I started to focus on releasing more original music. And throughout releasing more original music, I met people who would say, hey, you should try to get your music on the radio. Then I met a radio promoter. And here we are like 10 plus years later. I've had 10 top 25 Billboard singles, one Soul Train nomination for Best Contemporary Jazz Performance, and a bunch of other, millions and millions of streams. I mean, I can go on, man. It's been a blessing, but what it's shown me is it's just about the belief. It's just about the belief in self, belief in the music, belief in the people that's gonna listen to the music, and just moving forward. Putting the work in to get to that point.
Man, I think that comes across in your music. I want to say that to you because I was having a discussion about art last week with my friend Okla, and he was a journalist and talks about art, music, TV, movies, the culture. And we were kind of discussing how sometimes nowadays things can get real generic, and listening to you say that at first you wanted to make sure that you're making people happy, right? You were playing the music, making people happy. Yeah, you were getting paid, but that was the good part for you. Then you started making more original music. So you were putting your soul into it. You were really creating something that you wanted to express to people.
Right.
Had that belief that you could do it. I think, especially for me, when I listened to your music, I fell in love with it. I was like, wow, man, like that's my boy. But listening to it, it's like I wasn't just listening to it because you were my boy. You know what I mean? I was really enjoying it,
Yeah.
You even let me put it in some of my business stuff, to have the feel in the background because I'm a saxophone player. I love it. So I wanted to have it, be a part of some of the marketing. You were gracious enough to be like, yeah, man, for sure, So I can tell you that your music connects from that place, it connects from a place of we can feel your energy, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
You know? So let me ask you this. Do you write your songs? I mean, you say original music, so I just want people to understand and maybe you say, so do you write your songs and like what inspires you on some of the songs you have? Where does the inspiration for that song come from?
Gotcha. So I don't physically write anything out. For the most part, it's written kind of like in here, and I just record the process basically.
Oh,
So it's all audio. It's all audio, but inspiration, I just try to let life be the inspiration. As cliche as that sounds, it really is that way. I noticed that whenever I have what they call like writer's block is when I haven't really been outside, when I haven't done anything. So I just try to live life and, whatever comes from, when I come back inside and I come back in the studio, whatever comes out is what comes out. And I let that kind of lead me, I let that lead me as far as the title of the song, where I'm going to go with the song, the artwork, everything, you know, I kind of just let it lead me.
Wow.
And I trust it. I trust that process.
Wow. Wow. Oh, that is so, man, that's so authentic and so, I mean, I can't say inspirational, but really even more so, it's deep. You know, and that's why I feel like your music connects the way it does, right? You living it, you know, you're living it, and it's a living thing, you know. And music is a universal language. So I think the way you're speaking to us and to the audience and to just anyone who gets to run across your music, that process is, I think, what gives it so much richness, right?
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Yeah, man. So let me ask you this: who inspires you, or who are your role models, mentors? Who is your, you know, who did you listen to? Like, you know, who helped you? Like, who helped create this process? Because we are talking about art and music, but also high value conversations. You've turned this into a business. And in business, we need mentors. In business, we have processes. We generate income. And so we're trying to extract out how we're becoming an entrepreneur while also expressing our art and everything like that. And then we have a question. Let's do the question first, and we'll come back to my question.
Okay.
Since you're not writing anything down, are you able to have recall for shows? Meaning, will we ever hear the same songs twice? Go ahead.
Oh, I see. So when I'm not writing anything down, but I am recording. I'm recording the audio. So that is the documentation of it. So I do play most of the songs exactly the same every time, actually.
That's awesome. So you use like a software to capture your music.
Yeah, I use Logic Pro, this audio recording software. But besides that, I use my phone. Whatever I have to record audio that's around me, I use that.
Capture it in a moment when you're feeling the inspiration.
Yeah.
And you have it almost like taking notes.
Exactly.
No pun intended.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right. So role models, favorite music, kind of inspiration. So who inspired you? And if anyone else has any more questions, please just ask away. Because we want you to be involved in our conversation. That's why it's called High Value Conversations. So who inspires you, role models or mentors that helped you?
Okay. So I say my ultimate, of course, there's so many sources of inspiration that I pull from, but you know, in everything, like, you know, in sports, you know, like I just break it down to like basketball, you know, like somebody like Kobe Bryant, like, you know, people say he had like a Jordan kind of, or had, you know, I don't, man, it's so weird saying had. Jeez.
But it's the soft spot for me, man.
I know that too, man. Sheesh. But he had like a Jordan mentality, you know what I mean? And that was like a source of inspiration for him. And it's almost like, what would he do, right? I see. So for me, Kirk Whalum, whenever I'm thinking about how I'm gonna approach something, a lot of times I'm thinking about how would Kirk Whalum approach this. He's been a huge source of inspiration throughout my whole career. And I've been able to meet him a few times, and every single time it's just like, man, I can't believe, like, you know, I was listening to this dude as a little kid, you know, so it's been cool to be able to meet him in the flesh. But musically, I listen to everything I possibly can, man. From 21 Savage to John Coltrane.
Let's see.
We got another question.
Yes, look, thank you for asking your question. My question is, what can I do when I feel stuck as growing my vocabulary or where to start? I feel like I have repetitive rhythms at times. Oh, great question.
That is a great question. So it's like you have to remember that you're playing music. First of all, you have to remember that you're playing music. And if you feel like stuck, like you're playing the same thing over and over again, then you have to listen to some more music. Listen to some other music, you know. I'd say also dive deep into transcribing solos of people that you like, because if you take the things that you like from them, you're automatically going to turn it into your own thing anyway. So that adds to your vocabulary. It's the same as, you know, a baby listening to adults talk for hours. Eventually, they might try to say one of those words, or they might try to say a phrase or something, you know. So just shower yourself with music, you know.
I love that. Thank you for that question. Yeah, man. Like, you can find the inspiration. It's so cool. It's just talking about mentors, like where you can find that ability to be able to get unstuck. And like you said, with music, it's so beautiful because I think also if you come back and watch the replay, if you weren't already here, the process that you talked about letting life help you create your music, right? You go out, you feel, you let it get into you, then you come back and you just express. I think that's another helpful point that person could really benefit from is, like you said, being able to live the music, let it come from a different place, a different experience, and then try and let yourself feel that on your, through your art,
Most definitely.
So let me ask you this. How does it feel, when you're on stage?
So, man, and once again, you've known me since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily my thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
I don't really care for attention. I like to be to myself. I don't even like people looking at me. So it's different. I'll be honest. It's definitely different. It puts me in the most vulnerable. It's almost like a wound being cut open and just open for everything to be able to be just drip into it almost, right? So I'm so vulnerable. I'm like, man, I hope I don't trip when I walk up to the mic. It's those things that go on in my head.
Yes, sir.
But also to make myself more comfortable, you've heard, we've all seen like movies where they say, imagine everybody naked and stuff like that in the crowd. I don't do that, but I find comfort. I find comfort in myself when I'm on stage to a point that I have to not be concerned with anyone in the crowd's perception of me, whether it's good or bad, right?
Yeah.
Because it'll distract me either way. I mean, if so I play with my eyes closed is what I'm saying. I usually play with my eyes closed. And the reason is because of that. I mean, so many things go on my head. Somebody may walk in and they may have something that looks funny and or anything, man, and it may distract me. I don't even want to go into detail, but
it was so.
Go ahead.
There's a video on your page of you playing just recently. It's like pinned at the top, right? And I noticed that about you, and that's what made me want to ask you the question, because it seemed like you go to like a happy place when you close your eyes, because you're like, it's just you and the music. You know what I mean? It's just you and the music and your horn. And then also, I think another thing that was cool that you said even earlier, because it just keeps resonating with me, is you wanted to make people feel good. Like, I think those two things, from observing you, seems like that's where you find a comfort in the thing that you said would be difficult,
Right.
You close your eyes and you're like, I'm just gonna play, and then it's like, I'm trying to connect with people, because as a public speaker, people don't know. Well, people might know this. You know what the number one fear is in the world? It's not death.
Public speaking, huh?
Public speaking, bro. More than something that's not even gonna harm you. You're not gonna bleed. You're not like no one. Cause of death on an autopsy was never public speaking. You know what I mean?
Right.
But people fear it more than anything else. And what I tell people when I'm trying to teach them how to public speak, and people ask me why I'm so comfortable doing it, is I worry about the audience. Right? Excuse me, I said that wrong. I care about the audience. But when I say I worry about the audience, that's what I mean. I try to tell people who have a fear of being seen or on stage or something, I say, if you're thinking about that, you're thinking about the wrong thing. You're being selfish, right? When you get up to speak, you should be wondering, how good can I do this for them, right? How best can I convey this to them, your audience? And I think, like you said earlier, it was so beautiful hearing you say that, like, you like making people feel happy. That's what you initially started kind of even doing it for. And I think that's one reason why it's been so successful, is that your essence comes from the right place authentically. Do you agree with that?
Most definitely.
Awesome. So let me ask you this. Do you mind blessing us with some of your music?
Not at all.
Yes, sir. sir. Thank you. My man. Oh, brother, thank you so much, man.
No, I appreciate it, man.
Man, thank you so much, man. Man, it just takes me back. Takes me back.
Right.
Oh man. And what was that? What was that called?
That song's called B.
So tell everyone where they can find like your music and be able to download and your next shows. So like, how can they connect with you?
So you can find all my music on all the digital streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music. Just search Vandell Andrew, and my website vandellmusic.com, and that's where you can go to book me. That's where you can see where I'm playing at next, sign up for the email updates, you know, for upcoming releases and all that, and of course here on Instagram and all that as well.
Yes, sir. Man, thank you so much for being here. Any final thoughts or like advice that you want to give to young, well, not just even young, but aspiring artists, people who have that artist inside of them, whether it's art, painting, music, whatever they want to be able to turn their passion into profits? What final gems can you give to them?
Man, I have to break this down into like as few words as I can, I guess.
No, do what you want to do, man. We ain't in no rush.
Oh, okay.
They're here for the high value conversation. Please share the best you can.
So the most important thing is don't be afraid to hustle. And in fact, it's not even about being afraid to hustle. That's not even the attitude to have. It's to be expected, you know. Anytime you're building anything, you gotta be ready to hustle. And when I say hustle, I'm saying, you know, work when you don't feel like it. But mostly, you know, it's doing things that you don't feel like doing. Is, you know, maybe taking an extra shift at work to pay for something else, you know. That's the main and that's the most important thing, you know. And you have to believe in yourself and believe in the journey. Also trust the journey. I talk to people a lot of times, like, and myself as well. When I'm trying to get advice from somebody, it's usually because I'm trying to get further, because I feel like I deserve to be further, right? I deserve to be further than I am. But we have to remember to enjoy the journey, because, like, imagine going from 0 to 60 and you're not ready, you know? I'll keep it at that.
Man, thank you. Hey, like you said, the hustle is to be expected. I like that, man. And embrace the journey. I like, man, listen, discipline will take you further than motivation every day, huh? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it will reinvigorate you. You know, doing, like you said, working when you don't feel like it builds self-confidence. It builds, you know what I mean? That it builds that muscle that makes you keep pushing, it makes you keep going. And I just am so grateful for you being here this morning, brother. Thank you for taking time. Thank you for blessing us with your music, man. And I just can't wait to see all the great things that you keep doing. And you said y'all dropping an album Friday, right?
Yes, new album, Love Euphoria, with Raheem Devon and the Colleagues, this Friday.
Love it, man. Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you as well, man.
All right, love you, bro.
Have a good one, man. Love you too.